Casante. The pride of Nazuma. Casante grew up immersed in his homeland's history. At dinner, his father told tales of their ancestors who used bravery and strength to resist the tyranny of the Ascended. His mother recounted the fearsome beasts these Nazi-human founders slayed as they traversed south through Sharima, eventually discovering an area rich in the rarest of desert treasures, roaring waterfalls, forested cliffs, and plentiful fauna. Far from the reach of the prideful Ascended, this was where the Free Republic of Nazuma laid its roots. Casante absorbed every word, vowing to become Nazuma's greatest warrior hunter, one who could live up to the heroes from these stories and lead his people for generations to come. For 2 decades, Casante trained under various martial teachers. However, it was his parents who taught him to respect Nazuma's enemies, ruthless predators and imperialist warlords who coveted the city-state's resources. Remaining a free republic would require more than brute strength, they reminded him. During his training, Casante studied with Nazi-human scholars, learning how the materials reaped from formidable marks were used to craft advanced weaponry and infrastructure that enabled their homeland to thrive for 5 centuries. On his early hunts, Casante forged many friendships, but his closest was with a young man from Marimark named Taupe. Where Casante was a blazing force in close combat, Taupe specialized in ranged assault. Their chemistry was unmatched as they bested rock bear herds, shackle raiding parties, and even Zersai stampedes. And as their teamwork grew stronger, so too did their bond. One starlit evening, Casante confessed to Taupe, admitting his feelings went beyond camaraderie. When he learned that Taupe felt the same way, the two lovingly embraced and shared their first kiss. Together, in that moment under the stars, all seemed right. But all was not. 2 Ascended, Emperor Azir, and Magus Zerath, ravaged the continent in a war for dominance over Sharima, both deploying monstrous abominations among their forces. Nazi-human scouts soon sighted one such creature, a colossal predator shaped like a lion and a cobra that had wandered astray and was now terrorizing the nearby savannah. When the city-state's leaders asked who could quell the beast, Casante and Taupe pledged their might. On their first attempt, the beast deflected their every attack with powers neither man had seen before. They discovered that its armor, stretching from head to tail, regenerated from non-lethal blows. The men failed to draw blood and were forced to flee from the cobra lion's lair with empty hands, leaving it to run wild. And so they tried again and again. Casante's frustration burned. To become Nazuma's greatest, he had to slay this beast. Nothing else mattered. He trained dawn to dusk, convinced Taupe would understand. Taupe, meanwhile, studied the beast. He presented Casante with strategies, watching his partner nod along in between assaults on their countless practice dummies. Quietly, Taupe questioned if the two of them were strong enough. Their biggest success was an encounter where they managed to claim a piece of the cobra lion's armor. Taupe hailed this as progress and thought that if they sought more help, they could make even more headway. But Casante seethed. He'd begun to see the cobra lion as his undertaking alone, and anything short of slaying the beast was a failure. The heroes he idolized when growing up never failed in battle. So Casante couldn't either, especially not by accepting more support in what had become his battle to prove himself. He'd tried Taupe's ideas, which weren't working, and, now, Taupe believed they weren't strong enough. Casante wouldn't accept it. He began to wonder if Taupe was holding him back and soon dismissed Taupe's strategies as futile. Hurt, Taupe insisted that tactless training was no better. Casante's once admirable determination had turned into a self-serving, single-minded drive. As their pain and anger flared, further encounters with the cobra lion resulted in further infighting, and the words they exchanged became fewer and fewer until there were none at all. Finally, it seemed the only thing they could agree on was to go their separate ways. Over the next year, Casante kept training, stubborn and alone. His progress was measurable, but progress wasn't victory. He eventually had the crushing realization that strength alone could not fell the creature. He needed help. Casante gathered the courage to visit Taupe's home, only to learn his former partner had returned to Marimark. He was instead greeted by Taupe's aunt. On Casante's way out, she handed him Taupe's journal, explaining that her nephew had left it to assist Casante in his fight against his greatest monster. Casante pored over Taupe's journal. Gradually, he noticed the patterns in their mistakes, and when he arrived at the Cobra Lion notes, Casante was stunned. Taupe claimed that the beast was a Bacchae, a failed ascended being. He theorized that Zerath, known for his vile misuse of magic, had forced Shuram and Fauna to fuse via the ascension ritual. Engrossed, Casante read the journal from front to back, discovering Taupe's theories about how to slay the Bacchae, so many ideas Casante had never considered himself. And by that evening, he'd formulated a plan to practice Taupe's methods on lesser monsters. As his skills grew, Casante recalled his parents' teachings, realizing pride had led him astray. He'd never respected Taupe's ideas enough to try them in earnest. Truthfully, Casante had respected his foe more than his partner. In time, he accepted his shortcomings and steadily moved on, thankful for what they had shared, but also grateful to walk his own path with a newfound perspective. Beneath a scarlet sky, Casante approached the Cobra Lion once more. He calculated every maneuver, dodging when the beast struck, and striking when the beast slipped. Sunrise became sundown. His weapons were shattered, and his body bloodied, but his spirit was unyielding. When the creature tired at long last, Casante found his opportunity, inspired by Taupe's theories, and cornered his foe against a Natsuman waterfall where the natural waters weakened the Cobra Lion's armor, allowing Casante to finally land a fatal blow. Exhausted, Casante stood tall, proud not of what he had accomplished, but of the journey he had taken. Casante was celebrated by Nazuma upon his return. Following tradition, he donated the creature's body to the scholars for study, keeping only a couple slabs of its armor to refine the design of his signature Tufo weapons. They were now engineered to retain the armor's regenerative properties so that when their heavy outer layer shattered, Casante could still wield them as sharp blades until they reformed. For a finishing detail, he carved onto each Tufo something Taupe had drawn within his journal, a symbol representing the Cobra Lion. Though their time together had ended, Casante knew his success was not achieved alone. Today, Casante is hailed as the pride of Nazuma. But if he is ever to become its greatest leader, he's learned he must never again let ego cloud his judgment. His home's future, with the ascended threat looming, is uncertain. But Casante knows that should Azir or Zerath dare march southward, he stands ready to fight.